хорошо, и от последних слов меня освободи.
Солнце не вставало, где бы утро не гуляло. За рекой, только за рекою будем мы одни с тобой, только мы с тобою. За рекой, только за рекою будем мы одни с тобой, только мы с тобою. Если в небе звезд не станет, теплый ливень нас застанет. За рекой, только за рекою, где как прежде мы с тобой, только мы с тобою. За рекой, только за рекою, где как прежде мы с тобой, только мы с тобою. Льдом затянет синий иней, снегом станет. За рекою, только за рекою будем мы опять с тобой, только мы с тобою. За рекою, только за рекою будем мы опять с тобой, только мы с тобою. Старый месяц небом правит, с Новым годом нас поздравит. За рекой, только за рекою, где как прежде мы с тобой, только мы с тобою.
имя свое. Ненастный день, за тобой пустота. Ненастный день, ну зачем ты пришел? Ненастный день, я тебя не звала.
Kad si otišla u ljeto 80. Kiša je padala 7 godina sam te čekao. Svaki mi je telefon nadu budio. Neka ljubi se istok i zapad. Neka ljubi se sjever i jug. Skini prašinu sa starog kofera i krenimo na put. Hajde budi mi drug, sve je uzalud. Rušio se most, drugovi su žalili.
Right, too close, too wide. That's better. I don't want you to see my closet. There we go. Mega Lupice. What a banger, what a banger. Good evening everyone. How is everyone? I don't know if anyone's in the chat right now. Alright. We got a lot to cover. Wait, let me raise the camera. I feel like I'm too up. Wait. That's not the one. I'm doing heavy lifting here, guys. There we go. Alright, hey. You gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet, alright? So, what do we got, guys? Everyone's feeling good? Everyone's feeling great. Let me put the camera closer. We got a lot of ground to cover tonight. There is so much happening. I got the Al Jazeera live feed right in front of me. I don't even know where to start. I have informations from today morning that are no longer relevant because holy fucking shit, everything is changing. Right as we speak, there are just like shots being exchanged between Iran and Israel like it's a tennis court. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't even know what to say. I don't know why I'm doing this. Long story short, war is going on. We are a war corresponding channel right now. War is going on, unless you've been living under a rock. The US, in collaboration, they decided to do a little collab this time. In collaboration with Israel, attacked Iran on a Saturday morning. We covered the very beginning of it on Saturday. Now we are continuing as this war has been going on officially now for 3 days. 4, actually. 4 days. I would say 4 too many, but you just call me a radical. Call me a radical. Alright, let's put some grooves on. Wait, too loud. So, what's the update? The update is I need to lower this volume. There we go. The update is that a lot of people have died so far, and people are dying right as we're speaking. About 755 people have died officially in Iran through the initial strikes on Saturday morning. And it is no longer just the US and Israel and Iran involved, rather, this has blown into a full on regional war. Which means that, I mean, in accordance through how kind of allies work, Iran, in its retaliatory strike on Saturday afternoon, has decided to also attack the UAE, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and of course Israel. At least these four, right? Which has thrown everything, all allies into question, because, for example, both Iran and Saudi Arabia are part of BRICS. Something that is still kind of up in the air, if where is this gonna go. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, right, are all American allies, right? One might say that Saudi Arabia is the United States' number one ally in this moment. But of course, one cannot forget our good friend Israel. Good friend Israel. So, what do we got? UAE says it was targeted by 1,000 attacks from Iran, right? This was on Saturday, but it is something that has not stopped necessarily, because as of right now, there is no diplomatic process. The US has very clearly outlined that it will not... Ah, shit, I forgot I'm muted. That's a fail. Fuck. I've just been talking here to myself, muted, for the last several minutes. Alright, how are we doing tonight? How are we doing? We just started the stream. Nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing has happened. I have been live for for like the last few minutes. I have totally not forgotten to unmute my microphone. So... I've just been speaking into the void for the last 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. Can this thing focus without it, like, focusing on my face too much? There we go. Wow. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever in the world you are. How are we feeling tonight? Well, what is going on? What is going on is that we are at war. We are at war. And we have been at war, unfortunately. Revolution TV has become your number one foreign correspondent war news channel, because there is nothing else. There are so many things to talk about right now, but there is nothing else we can talk about than Iran. Now, I would not center this directly only on Iran, because Jesus Christ, over the last weekend... Can this thing stop? No, stop. Stop focusing on my face. Oh, I almost took a photo there. Hey, but at least it stopped. Kind of. Why is it so bright now? There we go. Fuck. How do I turn that off? I don't wanna... Come on, face out. No face. I don't want my face to be in this. Targeted. Why are you targeting it? I don't need it. Sorry, we're experiencing technical issues. There we go. Well, more or less. This is no longer just an Iran situation. The war has expanded towards the entire area. I'm trying to kind of repeat what I've been saying for the last 10 minutes because I muted myself. No. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I don't know if there's another person watching me right now. I'm not good at this. I've just started. Okay, I was muted once again. Fuck. You gotta tell me. You gotta tell me these things. We are back. Yeah. War. Let's just fuck it. Fuck the intro. You know what's going on. War is happening. All right. The U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. It was an invasion. It's been going on since Saturday, and now a bunch of other countries are involved. Britain has allowed the US to use its military bases because Keir Starmer is a little slut for a little bit of US imperialism. And now there are talks with Merz, what's his name? I forgot what his initial name is, Jesus. I have these little... Friedrich Merz. So, Keir Starmer, both Keir Starmer and Friedrich Merz, the respective prime ministers of the UK and Germany, are in full cooperation with the US to use their military bases and their military power for this invasion. On the other hand, proudly standing here, the camera is a little... Okay, there we go. I'm back in full definition. Proudly speaking here, Pedro Sanchez, Spain's prime minister, has refused completely not only to participate in this war, but to allow the US to use its military bases for this war. I know there's probably like an asterisk in there. I know we might be getting PSOE'd once again, but right now, just for this one day, I'm gonna be a little bit proud of my Partido Socialista, okay? I'm gonna be proud. Of course, Labour, respectively, with Friedrich Merz's party, which I think is the Christian party, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, cowering once again behind Big Daddy United States. They just can't get enough of a little bit of imperialism. Let's watch this. If I find this video of Merz, Trump, I mean Merz, I was myself a little bit surprised by how easily Germany cowered to US interests. I knew economically, and of course they're going to throw around the rhetoric of, you know, Iran, it's a theocracy, we gotta get rid of it. Fine. But I didn't know they're just going to fully be on board in this. Little disappointed, gotta say, but let's just watch this, alright? So this is a live feed. This is still going on. I saw this a couple of hours ago. Jesus. Ah shit, there's an echo. Thank you, Jonathan, for letting me know. Is it Jonathan? I'm not even sure. Jasik. Hey guys, I'm still new to this. Oh, I know. It's this one. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. There we go, we're back. This is why I got you guys. You got me covered. Alright. So, as I was saying, I don't know if it was comprehensible. Germany, they just can't get enough of genocide. It's not a genocide, but it's war. I was being hopeful that my European brothers are going to stand at least a little bit on the side of peace, but both Keir Starmer and Friedrich Merz have cowered to this war, giving their full support.
unbelievable amount of ammunition or munitions, as they say, were given away to, the Wall Street Journal
All right.
correctly covered the story when they said
Thank you.
it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot. But it was.
I feel like Mertz right now. I'm bored. What are you talking about?
Look, it's a war that should have never happened.
Have these guys been on a pee break, by the way? These guys have been speaking for hours.
But we have a tremendous amount of munitions, ammunition at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Okay.
Mr. President, a question to both of you. How worried are you that the rising prices for gas and oil are damaging the American economy and also...
That's a good question.
Yeah, sure. This is of course damaging our
Sorry.
economies. This is true for the oil prices and this is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this war will come to
You're joining.
as possible, and we are.
The war just started, Friedrich. How long do you think this has been going on? You think this has been like years? You can still end it.
Something had to be done. And it's been 47 years. They've been killing people all over the world for a long time. They were the kings and fathers of the roadside bomb. Soleimani, we killed him last term. If we didn't, I think it might be a different story today. They would have been much stronger and smarter than they are. But they did the roadside bombs. 95% of the people lost their legs, arms, had their face wiped out, just wiped out. I've seen some young people that it's so sad to watch. And that was almost all, 95% comes from Iran and with Soleimani. Soleimani loved his favorite weapon. He loved the roadside bomb. And when you see people walking around with no legs and no arms and a face that's been blown to hell, these people, what they have to go and the way they have to live. This is Iran. When you look at the barracks, the famous barracks.
Sorry, I'm kind of like in the way of Trump in this.
A lot of hostages. When you look at all of the problems, they were really a purveyor of terror all over the world for many, many years. And it's something that had to be done. Something, and I believe that if we didn't, because
They're going to be telling you this thing a lot because it is the only kind of thing that they can stand on. They need this moral legitimacy to continue this war, right? Similar to what was going on in Gaza. I mean, was going on, it's still going on in Gaza, but the genocide in Gaza also needed to have a moral justification for something as immoral as colonial expansionism. I mean, in the case of Israel, it was just a genuine fascist colonial project. In this case, with Iran, it's a bit less genocidal and just much more of like imperialism, your classic good old 19th century colonialism. Wait, sorry, let me hear this.
between who? And U.S. and who?
EU, European Union.
Well, we won on tariffs, actually. Somebody said you actually won the case. We won
Then
on tariffs.
you really kind of didn't.
A decision that was wrong. It was a very bad decision from certain standpoints. From other standpoints, a very powerful decision because it reaffirmed all the fact that we have all these various forms of tariffs that we felt
What?
that it totally reaffirmed. It said you can use all of these tariffs. So we have all these various menus of tariffs. And tariffs have
Sorry, that's hilarious.
made our country very rich.
Sorry, so you lost on the tariffs, but at least you reaffirmed your position that you have the tariffs at your disposal. You know, at least we tried that we can do it. It was a stupid decision, but at least, hey, we showed the world that we are able to do it.
Other nations, they haven't, and we haven't let them take advantage of us. But the whole thing with tariffs is we had a decision that, like as an example, we have a license situation, and the license is something that allows us to immediately stop all business with nobody even knew we had this power, but we do now because of the decision. We have the right to stop all business having to do with a certain country. If a certain country is not treating us well, the president
He is just like a baby.
has the right to stop.
He's a baby. He's a baby in kindergarten who wants to have all this little power, and he wants to show all the other babies in the kindergarten that he's the strongest guy in the kindergarten. He's not doing anything smart, particularly. He just wants to reaffirm his strength because he feels emasculated in some way.
Everything having to do with Spain, all business having to do with
Okay,
Spain, have the right
and
to
we're
embargoes, do anything I want. And we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
that's fucking hilarious. Anyway, I want to hear this. I live in Spain. I gotta fucking know.
Ensure national and economic security with it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo, and as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigating.
Sorry, I'm not speaking a lot, but this is
And we've
live feed.
instituted the 15% tariff on everybody, as you know. And just used, I'll tell you, we had a couple of paragraphs written in that opinion that were really incredible. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a fantastic dissent, but in his dissent he said what we should do, and we knew that too. We just wanted to simplify it, and for some reason, I think, very, very foolishly, the courts decided no, but they said you can do it many other ways, and that's what we're doing. And what we've done is we've gone to a very simple, straight 15% tariff. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in our country because of tariffs. So we've taken in all of this
I don't
money,
think,
hundreds of
guys,
billions
I
of
might be
dollars.
crazy. I don't think that Trump knows how
Honestly,
tariffs
Spain is
work.
very rich as a country, right? So it's been doing good.
Um,
When you have the full plan implemented, we have a 5-month period, up to 5 months, where we can go at 15%. And while we're doing that, as you know, we're doing the various studies and things, and we'll be.
I want this guy to
coming up with
finish so I can
different
talk. He's
tariffs on
just
different
yapping.
countries. You want to talk about that? Fred?
Yapping.
By the time the 5-month period was elapsed, completed investigations under Section 301.
He's just mad that Pedro Sanchez is not joining him on this goddamn war, and he wants to show that he's the biggest little baby in the kindergarten. That's all that he wants to do, and he's not thinking. He's not thinking about what this means. He doesn't think about, like trade with other countries, or maybe the consideration that Spain is part of the European Union, or even what Spain is maybe exporting back to the US. No, he's not thinking about any of that. He just wants to use the limited power that the US has against its own allies, and show that he can do it. He literally said it himself. Maybe it was a bad decision, but we wanted to show that we could do it. That was it. Well, congrats, Don. You can do stuff as the executive of the biggest empire in the world. Is it gonna backfire? Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, we already see it right now. How largely the US underestimated the firepower of Iran, and is now striking in all of its allies. And it's not, the only ground you're kind of taking is in Lebanon, and it's through Israel. But in Iran, he's not doing much. Let's continue this.
Very good job.
Of course he is.
Doing a great job. Very popular. And the relationship that we have in trade and everything else has been very strong. We've been able to do our deals, and it's been very strong. We'll obviously be talking a little bit about Iran today, and he's been helping us out.
How long has this been
Very
going
nice.
on? 5
That
hours!
is coming along, as you see, very well. They have no
Sorry.
It's been
I remember watching
no
this
Air Force has been knocked
a
out.
few hours ago, and I was surprised it's still live.
Been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out.
This is a live speed, live feed.
Just about everything's been knocked out.
Was there like a pee break in between? Like, hey guys, you're all in your 60s and 70s. No pun intended. I mean, that bladder gotta be crazy. There, yeah. Sorry. Bad attempt at a joke. Anyway, let's move on. I mean, is this gonna get interesting, or are we just gonna hear these two reaffirm the same stuff we've been hearing for the last few days? Matthew will go down as the biggest coward in history. You might not be going the legacy of some of the worst of Germany's. I think that top is quite long, but you will go down as a coward. I expected a little bit more resistance from Germany. I know he's a conservative politician, but even conservative in the books of European politics is still better, let's just say, and a bit more respectful than what is going on in the United States right now. See this. What do we got?
Scenario it has imposed in Syria as well. So we can say that the strategy for Israel seems to be more boots on the ground in areas, in countries that do not belong to Israel. Part of its expansionist policy, part of using security as an excuse to occupy more and more lands and spread further under the disguise of security. Now, the main question in Israeli media is how is Israel intending to end the war without falling into a war of attrition, without going into a prolonged war. As I'm speaking to you right now, there are sirens being blasted in Haifa, in northern Israel, as well as in the center of Israel. Some of these missiles are coming from Iran, but others are coming from Lebanon. While the Israeli police and Israeli...
Oof. Big question in the chat. The resolution to this conflict. We need to look at it from a realistic point of view. Of course, it would be amazing to just like completely get U.S. involvement out of everywhere, right? The clear aggressor is the United States and Israel. No doubt about it. I mean, I am not a fan in any sense of the world of Iran and the theocracy going on there. Neither with any really many countries in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates. But what needs to happen is to minimize casualties and to minimize damage. What needs to happen are peace talks. Things that have been going on with Iran. The US just ignored it, right? Probably because of pressure from Israel. Let's be real. As much as Israel is a satellite state of the US, it also has major lobby power, major power within the Republican Party, as much as the Democratic Party. Of course, Israel would not exist, even today, if it was not for the US. Israel is a major threat, as much as it is a little country in the Middle East. It fully depends on its, I wouldn't say lapdog, because the US is not the lapdog of Israel. You could say that Israel is a lapdog of the United States, but over the last 40 years there has developed this kind of interdependent relationship between the two countries, where the United States needs Israel for strategic purposes in the Middle East, right? Whenever it wants to wage another war, for example, like this one, it needs its own like loyal puppet, but at the same time, Israel needs the United States for survival. It needs survival It's economically dependent on the U.S. military, not just like the military of the United States, but military donations, right, as we have seen during the Gaza genocide. And it needs diplomatic help from the U.S. For example, the veto power that the United States holds in the Security Council, right, in the UN. Of course, NATO as well, right? NATO is a great help with this. Not every single NATO country immediately will get behind an intervention in the Middle East, as we are seeing right now, right? Spain is fully out, but having the U.S. as a proxy is very good diplomatically if you want to wage a war against Iran. With that said, Israel has wanted to wage this war for the last 30 years, right? Not just because of ideological reasons, right? People will immediately jump to the religion, but I would say it's much more got to do with economic reasons, right? Greater Israel, at the end of the day, is an colonial expansionist project that wants to take a bunch of countries in the Middle East and make it into, the greater, bigger Israel. With that said, Israel has wanted to take Iran for the last several decades. The reason why that has not happened yet, despite the attempts of Netanyahu, is that they just haven't had a lenient, stupid little puppet up until now with Trump. Trump, I don't know if they had to pressure him or if they just had to convince him, but he was the one that pulled the trigger. Israel has tried to do this war for a while. Now, to answer the question, because I am kind of like going over context, what needs to happen are peace talks in some sense of the word. Any way that we can minimize damage. I mean, people are dying on all sides, and of course we immediately try to take sides. Are you on Iran? Are you on the US? I don't take sides in these cases. I take the side of the innocent working class people on the ground in all countries. If that is the UAE, if that is Iran, even if that's Israel, I want to minimize the casualties in all of these countries. What might happen is that US realizes that they are way over their head with this, that they don't have the support for this war, neither really economic nor propaganda. They haven't really, as much as there are a lot of people that are Islamophobic, right? They will get behind anything that kills Muslims. The support for Israel specifically is so down. Everybody sees this as it is. And having Trump in office does not help you with the case that you're not an imperialist country. Maybe if this was Biden, someone with a bit more sound face, more people would get behind it, ironically. But because everybody already sees Trump, I mean, apart from MAGA idiots, most people see Trump as just a buffoon. It does not help that he launched this war. So there's not you don't have the ideological support. Your economic support, despite being the biggest military superpower in the world, is also not going to last forever. Because this war can last for years, right? Dude, there's a reason why Israel has not launched a war on Iran. And that is because Iran is incredibly difficult to invade. It is a very mountainous region, especially in its borders. It's a big country, right? And you might think, they're just going to launch some missiles and finish it. Yes, they did kill the leader, right? I mean, I forgot his name. Ali Khamenei. Sorry, I probably butchered that name. They did kill the leader, and that is pretty decent. I saw this afternoon that they also I also saw this morning that they bombed the council building of council members that were about to vote in a new supreme leader, you could say. But so you can be doing these things, but you cannot do the same thing you did to Gaza that you did to Iran, due to its scale and due to its military power. Iran is a military power in the region. What might be a bit of a problem is Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is also a major military power in the region, and if you piss them off too much and they join the US directly, um, that might be a problem for Iran. But what I'm trying to say is that this war is not going to be Venezuela. This war is not just go in, snatch the president, and get out. You killed the supreme leader. Great, good for you. But that does not mean that the war is over. Especially in a country that, despite major protests against the Ayatollah, still heavily supports the regime. And still would die for, I mean, not even just for the regime or the Ayatollah. People just fucking hate the United States in the Middle East. I see people hating the United States here in Europe, right? You go to any protest, people hate the United States, right? The youth hates the United States, rightfully so, right? Especially after Gaza. Imagine being a person in the Middle East. In the last 20 years, this one country invaded Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, and it is actively funding Israel, which now is continuously and all the time bombing Lebanon, right? Probably other regions as well. You hate the United States. People will conscript for Iranian military service just out of spite for the US. Not even for Ayatollah, not even maybe, for Iran probably, but not for the Ayatollah, not for the regime, but for their hatred of the United States. This war is not going to go the way that Trump wanted it. It's just not. This has the opportunity to become the next Vietnam for the US. Just a war that they threw themselves into because of Trump's naivete. I mean, we've already just seen right in front of us that Trump just wants to look strong. He doesn't give a shit about the consequences. He wants to look strong on the world stage. They threw themselves into this war without thinking about what it means. And it might drag on for too long. The difference with Vietnam is that back in Vietnam there was forced inscription. Right? There were thousands of people that did not want to be in that war. Thousands of young people that did not want to be in that war. They had to be because it was forced conscription. They would get arrested if they defied. Now there is no forced conscription, right? What is it? The number of active military in the US is approximately 2.7 military personnel, and that can be everyone from your local office worker. 700,000 civilians, military personnel, active personnel in the armed forces, 1.3 million. It's a pretty decent number. It must be much lower, no? It hasn't fallen down that bigly. This is still the 80s, right? What I'm kind of trying to do is the 60s. It has fallen by 36% since the 1980s. Still a big number, but yeah, it's hopping around 2 million in total, but active duty and civilian is different, right? Active duty are people who are ready to go fight. Civilian could be your office worker, right? They're part of the military, but what position do they hold is different. Still a high number, but yeah. Oops. Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, He did a press conference today, I think, which I see a lot of people talking about. So let's watch that. I mean, Marco Rubio, famously a fucking demon. Famously a demon, warmonger, but one of the more, I don't want to say rational sounding, because that gives him credit, and I don't want it to come off that way. Formal speaking, let's just say that, members of Trump's cabinet. He is the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. He wants to nuke Cuba. Huge Trump dick sucker, but not as crazy as someone like Pete Hegseth, who is the Secretary of War, formerly known as the Secretary of Defense, as is in the rest of the world, if you're not the U.S.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Secretary of State. What? Now he's Foreign Affairs. Sorry, I gotta get a Marco Rubio. Fuck. Not evolution. I don't need to see that. It's all in Spanish. Okay, well, Secretary of State. I thought he was Foreign Affairs.
On the Iran war, he's up on the Hill. Let's take a listen.
To launch, in fact, those are already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose. The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do, and have been trying to do for a very long time, is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they...
Yeah, I wonder why they're building them, man. I mean, nuclear weapons exist for a single purpose. I mean, yeah, we can argue why they existed. They were invented during the latter part of World War II for absolute damage. They are able to end wars, right? Originally in the hands of the US, it was a winning ticket, right? Then later during the Cold War, it became as a equalizing force, right? It became something to have as security on the world stage, right? And it is something that is a fact to this day. There's not that many countries that hold a nuclear weapon, by the way, right? It's been 80 years since World War II, but not that many countries hold it, right? Originally it was the US, then it was the USSR, and then it expanded. I think the UK also developed one. France, I believe, has one, and then of course Israel has one. I wonder why. Now, in today's world stage, the nuclear warhead simply just means security, right? There's a reason why we have nuclear deterrence. You cannot fire a nuclear missile without killing the world, right? If you fire at them, they're going to fire at you, and they fire at different places, and it destroys everyone, right? We've all seen Terminator. So in today's world, not having a nuclear weapon simply means they can fire at you, but you cannot fire at them. That means you're fucked, right? There is a clear strategic reason for countries to develop a nuclear weapon. It just simply means that something like this will never happen. There is a reason we still have not invaded North Korea. There is a reason why the US is not fully involved in Russia, and they are rather playing it rather safe through Ukraine, right? Because if they did, it would mean possible nuclear war, right? That's why we always have these talks of NATO and Article 5, because, you know, NATO has nuclear weapons, Russia has nuclear weapons. It could mean really devastating shit. There is nothing in international law, as far as I know, that stops you from developing nuclear weapons, because it would be extremely hypocritical of you to do so, right? Unless everybody gets rid of their nuclear weapons, you should not oblige other people, or other countries rather, to do the same. So in this case, right, there's just a clear double standard that Iran, and you need to create again this manufacturing consent propaganda. Why Iran cannot possess a nuclear weapon? You have to come up with that. You need to come up with why Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, because I'm like this, because then you look very clearly hypocritical when you say that, oh, we can have it but they can't. Why is that? Why can't they have a nuclear weapon? What makes us so special? So you need to do two things. You need to create American exceptionalism, right, or Western exceptionalism, which is very easily skewing towards like kind of Nazi shit. But then you also have to make your enemies be so violently evil that anybody can get behind them not having a nuclear weapon. Now, I'm not saying that Iran is a good regime or not a theocracy that persecutes, that's the word, political opposition, journalists, all of that. I'm not saying that. But to say that Iran is somehow more violent, more devastating on the world stage than you are, simply because they killed a convoy once, because Soleimani did a few bad things, a general who Trump killed like 5 years ago, while the US has inflicted infinitely more damage on the world, not just in one country, but like all over the place. It's extremely hypocritical. But you know, people don't know that often, so they just get behind it. They're like, oh yeah, these Iranians, they're Arab, they look different, they have a dictatorship. So you get behind Trump saying that they are baby-eating monsters, right? And that creates legitimacy for you to do what you're doing right now, which is a war. Simple as that, right? And then Marco Rubio can come up here and say anything he wants, because people already have this preconceived idea that Iran should not have nuclear weapons. But also, on the other hand, no, we can be trusted with them. Even though, historically, we have been the only country in the world, I'm not American, but the US, that has ever used it on a civilian population. Something that was not even necessary, by the way. I mean, we can have a whole conversation about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but yeah. Sorry, why is this not playing? My little speakers, there we go, come on. Sorry,
And by the way,
technical
they've been doing
issues. God damn it, this... Sorry, my headphones are slightly acting up. Thank you, Jonathan. Have a good night.
hotels.
There we
They're
go.
hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly. They're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military. And that's a weekend arrival.
You're doing the same thing. You bombed a school. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's the double standard. And again, if that is true, then yeah, it fucking sucks. But it's this double standard that is the entire ideological backing for your invasion. Because people don't check this shit. Yes, you say, oh, they attack our children, they attack our embassies. But, like, who launched the war? And what have you attacked? Because so far, you've killed close to 1,000 people in the last few days. Just because you wanted to.
That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now, or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make...
You are evangelical. Your whole ideology is Christian radicalism and extremism that believes that all Christians will go to heaven when like Armageddon happens above Israel. It's some crazy fucking shit. When you read a little bit into evangelical Christian thought, like whatever the Iranian clergy believes in looks like Teletubbies compared to you, man.
Decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be taken very seriously as well. So that was the purpose for what this operation is all about. That's what it's focused on. As the President said earlier today, it is on or ahead of schedule. I will defer to the Department of War to discuss the progress being made at a tactical level, but it was the right decision and an important decision for the safety.
Does Congress have to weigh in? Is the president declaring war, and does Congress
No.
have to weigh in? And did you tell lawmakers that there was an imminent
There
threat?
absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen and we didn't act preemptively to prevent more casualties and more deaths.
This is hilarious. Not only, of course, does it not fall behind imminent threat, right? This is like 3 loopholes going into you getting attacked, right? But it is fully admitting that they got pressured by Israel to attack Iran. This is clear-cut proof. They're saying our legitimacy for attacking Iran was because if someone else attacked Iran, maybe Israel, we would get attacked first. So you're already going into if territory, right? And it's not only like an if territory if they attack us, which could be fucking anyone, right? But you're going into if territory through an if territory. You're going into if Israel attacked Iran, and then maybe we would get attacked. Well, yeah, you shouldn't fucking be Israel's #1 like sugar daddy, right? Maybe. Just my advice, right? Just my humble advice. But you're not. This does not fall behind the label of imminent threat, simply. But it's hilarious because, I mean, of course, Israel's been pressuring the US to attack Israel for the last several decades, right? I mean, everybody's seen the clip of Netanyahu saying, hey, look, Iran, they're 2 more years, they're developing a nuclear weapon. I give them 2 more years, we're all gone. Right? And this was in 1995. And then 1998. You know, I'm giving them 1 more year and they have the nuclear weapon. Trust me, Chad. And then another. And he's been saying it. You know? He's been saying it for the last... longer than I'm alive, by the way. Longer than I'm alive. And so your idea of an imminent threat is the... Israel just like bombing Iran and then Iran attacking you. Maybe. Hey. Crazy idea. Crazy idea here. How about you don't start a war in your what if scenario? How about you discipline your very bad behaving dog, Israel, first? Make sure that they don't attack Iran, and then we may have a conversation about Iran. Then we can have a conversation about nuclear peace talks, you know, human rights abuses, all of that. But let's if we're talking about war and somebody attacking someone, and your whole what if scenario directly relies on Israel attacking first, maybe, just maybe, confront Israel first, and then let's talk about Iran. I have no fucking words. This is insane. This is insane.
No, first of all, let me two things I would say. Number one is, no matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. That's the question of why now.
He's
But
backtracking now. He's like, wait, no, but this would have happened anyway, guys. This is not Israel. This is us. Trust me. God damn it, sorry. I don't know if you're hearing it, but my headphones are acting up a little bit. Stop it! Decide. Sorry.
would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now. And this is a weakened Iran.
Iran does not have the fucking military power to hold the world hostage. Only you have that because you have your military bases all around the world. What? Who are you painting Iran as, man? Oh my
Imagine
god.
a year from now. So that had to happen. Obviously, we were aware of Israeli intentions and understood what that would mean for us, and we had to be prepared to act as a result of it. But this had to happen no matter what.
Secretary, President Trump said overnight that his top choices to now run Iran were killed in the strikes. Does the United States have a firm plan for how they intend to handle this power vacuum in Iran to ensure that an Iron hardliner does not take power?
So two things, and two things can be true. Number one is our mission and our focus is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and their ability to manufacture them, as well as the threat posed by their Navy to global shipping. That's our objective. That said, we would not mind, we would not be heartbroken, and we hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country. We would love for that to be possible. But the objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and of their naval capabilities.
How does United States, Mr. Secretary,
Yep.
Mr. Secretary, so are you saying, based on that, are you saying that there is no responsibility, no plan for the U.S. to at least play a role in whatever government comes next?
We might. We'll see how circumstances play out. But I'm telling you what the objectives of this operation are. The objectives of this operation are to destroy their ballistic missile capability and make sure they can't rebuild it, and make sure that they can't hide behind that to have a nuclear program. That's the objective of the mission. That said, abundantly clear, we would love for there to be an Iran that's not governed by radical Shia clerics. As I've said myself repeatedly for years, the leadership of that country does not reflect the people of Iran, and I think that's been pretty apparent in the protests that you've seen. If there's something we can do to help them down the road, we'd obviously be open to it, but that's not the objective. The objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capability.
Regime change has not gone well for the United States.
The what now?
Regime change has not gone well for the United States for many, many decades. How do you assure the American public that things will not get worse for the next regime that comes in and replaces the other?
Well, we would love to see this regime be replaced. And ultimately, as the president has said, he calls... No, but let me finish my answer. As the president has said, he would love for the people of Iran to use this as an opportunity to rise up and remove these leaders. They've been wanting to remove them from a long time. We've seen successive waves of protests, and we've seen them slaughter people, okay? But the objective of this mission is to make sure they don't have these weapons that can threaten us and our allies in the region. That's why we're doing what we're doing now. And while we would love to see a new regime, the bottom line is no matter who governs that country a year from now, they're not going to have these ballistic missiles and they're not going to have these drones to threaten us. That's the objective of this mission, is to deny them the ability to use ballistic missiles to threaten their neighbors, to threaten our bases, to threaten our presence in the region, and ultimately as a shield behind which they can do whatever they want with their nuclear weapons ambition. We were not going to let them hide behind that, and that's why this was such a critical mission to undertake now while they were at their weakest point, and not a year from now where they could inflict even more damage and perhaps already be behind that point of immunity. Go right here behind. Go ahead, you and then you. Yes.
Your critics in Congress have said that they should have a role. They should
Sorry, I
weigh in
got
here.
distracted.
And there are going to be war powers resolutions votes
Okay.
in Congress later this week. Why not notify Congress ahead of this? And does Congress?
Well, we did. We notified Congress. I mean, we notified the Gang of Eight. We notified congressional leadership. There's no law that requires us to do that. The law says we have to notify them 48 hours after beginning hostilities. We've done that. I think the notification went today.
To start a war, you need to get Congress's approval. Just it, right? Hostilities is one thing. Special operations, you know, what they did with Venezuela. But if you want a long war, which I know that Trump wants to have this like super quickly done, but it's just not happening. It's just not happening. If you want to have an actual war, you need Congress's approval, in theory. Now, I'm not saying that Congress will not get behind this war. They're all basically part of the same party at the end of the day, but you need Congress's approval.
But we did notify members of Congress in advance, but we can't notify 535 members of Congress. And, well, the Congress can vote on whatever they want, but there's no law that requires us to do that. And I want to say something because I see people on TV. Look, that's fine. If they want to take a war powers vote, they can do that. They've done that. They've done that a bunch of times. But there's no, people keep saying that there's no law that requires the president to have done anything with regards to this. To begin with, no presidential administration has ever accepted the War Powers Act as constitutional. Not Republican presidents, not Democratic presidents. That said, we have followed the notification at 48 hours. We're here today. I've done more Gang of Eight briefings than I got in the 4 years that Biden was president and I was a member of the Gang of Eight. All of that said, we've complied with the law 100%. And we're going to continue to comply with it. We've done the notification, you know, and we officially to Congress, but we did notify members of Congress. We just can't notify 535 people. That's not possible, but we did the Gang of Eight twice. I briefed them last week, and then I called them the night before the operation.
Can you tell us what you know this Secretary of Administration knows about the strike on a building in southern Iran? The Iranians are saying it's a school, reports of large civilians, including children killed.
Yeah, I've seen those reports. I would refer you, not because I'm not trying to answer your question, but I don't want to get it wrong. The Department of War would be investigating that if that was our strike, and I would refer your question to them, and I'll make sure they're aware that you have that question. But we'd like to know. Well, clearly, the United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability to launch them, and the one-way attract drones. That would be our focus, and that's what we would be focused on. We would have no interest and, frankly, no incentive to target civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are, on the other hand, targeting civilian infrastructure. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. They're hitting hotels. They're hitting embassies. They're hitting airports. They're hitting oil infrastructure. Well, it'd be very tragic, but I can't speak to the details behind it because I just don't have it. There would be a tragic outcome if it's happened. I don't have the details as to what
tragic.
But what is clear is that the United States would not deliberately target a school. They are, on the other hand, deliberately targeting civilians, as you've seen, because you know why? They are a terroristic regime. They sponsor terrorism and they participate in terrorism.
All right. Shit. I was just on a different side for a second. Where is this going? Where is this going? I have no idea. What we do know that it's just a bunch of little. It's like when you have playing tennis and you just like, boop, you know, you kind of start shooting balls, not at your opponent really, but kind of like at the audience. You know, I'm not saying that the audience is innocent in this case. The audience are allies of the U.S. or allies of Iran. In this case, Iran is kind of attacking allies of the US. But there's this kind of gradual spillover that's happening all over the place, right? With Lebanon as well, through the Houthis, right? Israel is attacking them. And then Iran is directly attacking US allies. When you look at the news, it's constantly like a consulate in Dubai has been struck, right? Qatar has been struck. Syria is reinforcing its border, and with what is it, Lebanon and Iraq, to avoid a spillover, right? They are trying to keep out of it. I mean, they just recently took power. Is this going anywhere? We'll see. We'll see.
It was total bedlam. People were fleeing on foot, by car, whatever they
Today there
could
were
to get out.
big strikes on Tel Aviv, however. I mean, let's look at Twitter. I saw this right here. That is insane. At first I thought this was AI. I'm still not completely... Oh wait, maybe it is. Okay, it is AI. Okay, well, fuck me. Sorry, I'm not really good at it. But wait, Iran army. Is this AI or not? Iran war room. It's the same video. I mean, they say this is AI. Sorry, this one says that it's AI. No verified records exist for this video, which depicts eyes of AI generation, lighting, shadow, inconsistencies, background artifacts. Yeah, I was like, this was AI, but the Iran army updates, I don't know if this is an official source. I'm not sure if this is an official source. Jesus Christ. Also, it's like very, like, shit posting kind of, you know? But it does look like consistently Tel Aviv is under fire. Like, majorly. I don't know if that's even an adverb. Let's look at some official sites because I'm not trusting these. Let's go just pan to me real quick. I'm not sure. Let's go to Tel Aviv. Jesus Christ. I mean, this video is being like reposted all over the place, right? The one that I just showed. It's insane. Right? And it's not the only one. I'm not in support of the statements, okay? I'm not going to support this war. I'm not going to even support the destruction of Tel Aviv. There are a lot of innocent people, civilians, including Palestinians in Tel Aviv, right? As much as we hold hatred for the state of Israel here, we are a certified Israel hater. I will not support the killing of civilians, but it's a war that Israel started, so I'm not going to shed a tear either, unless it is for the innocent children. Jesus. I mean, the destruction is crazy. These videos are coming up kind of like gradually all throughout 6 hours ago. As of the writing, the UAE has intercepted nearly 1,000 Iranian missiles and drones. And it says, okay, we saw this today. Right, we also saw what was going on with Pedro Sanchez today. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it. Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. and now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people.
I just got great people.
They don't have great leadership.
Thank you, Trump.
And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Huh. I'm not sure if he's very happy about that. I mean, Spain as of now exports a lot more than it did just 10 years ago. In the last 2 years, export has almost doubled. To be honest, this was kind of like pre-COVID period, but after COVID, machinery, nuclear reactors, boilers, electrical, vegetable products, pharmaceutical, the biggest of which is by far with 2.6 machinery, boilers, you know, I'm not Spanish. Us Spaniards, we make some great boilers. But Spain does export a lot. I mean, let's just look at like 25 years. Oh, I have to sign up for that? Okay, well, fuck you. Cutting off trade with Spain is just not gonna go well for this fucking guy, man. He's doing a frantic decision out of bitterness for what I would say. I mean, of course, I think that this war is absolutely unjustified and stupid and immoral. So I'm going to take Pedro Sanchez's position here. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Pedro Sanchez. He is, at the end of the day, a neoliberalized head of what formerly was, you know, a revolutionary party. He is a product of social democratic concessions that eventually kind of turned every single socialist, even some communist parties, into social democratic and even liberal parties. Pedro Sanchez is at the forefront of being kind of a dealer between the working class and, you know, the billionaires of Spain. His party is incredibly, like, is very protested here in Spain, both from, of course, the far right, but even from the left, right? And it's simply because PSOE has become a mainstream party that does not necessarily hold any of its socialist values. It does not really have anything to do with socialism, right? It's gradual cutbacks on the welfare state in the last... I mean, you cannot really take it... You cannot take the Socialist Party of Spain, or the PSOE, right, as a revolutionary or some kind of a socialist fighting party, because it has been in power on and off for the last 30-ish, 40-ish years, right? Since the death of former dictator Franco, PSOE has been one of the biggest parties in Spain, and it has on and off won elections against the second biggest party in Spain, which being Partido Popular. So PSOE has become mainstreamized, if you can say that, and it does not, as much as it like still protects to a certain degree the welfare state, it does not fight for anything better. It does not, especially in the terms of housing, defend the working class, right? Housing is a big issue here in Spain, especially in major cities, and PSOE has continually taken the support of the capitalists and the landlords. I'm sure that if I looked up more, there's constantly reports of PSOE and PSOE governments siding with welfare cuts and union busting. Well, union busting, it has its own union, but continuous growth for the shareholders, acquisitions from major banks, right? It does not fight for anything anymore, right? So it's a surprise for me to take the side of PSOE here, because Pedro Sanchez has consistently been on the correct side of history, at least when it comes to Gaza, and at least when it comes to here, Iran. I'm going to pull up real quick what he has said today. I hope it has translation. Ultima hora, there we go. This is Pedro Sanchez's statement today on Iran.
Buenas noches. Nos estamos precipitando de manera muy peligrosa.
Sorry, this is in Spanish. Subtitles, English, perfect.
Hacia un mundo cada vez más inestable. Estamos precipitando
I have the fucking thing on, please.
de manera muy peligrosa hacia un mundo cada vez más inestable, más inseguro, más belicoso y por tanto más injusto para el común de los mortales.
Okay, well, I can't fucking... Sorry. I need to get an English subtitles version for this. Great. Gotta love your tad bit of Islamophobia, you know, thrown into the Spanish. I need... Yeah, this is in English. There we go.
Nos estamos precipitando de manera muy peligrosa hacia un mundo cada vez más inestable, más inseguro, más belicoso y por tanto más injusto para el común de los mortales. Ayer yo creo que esos temores se constataron nuevamente, por desgracia. Dos países atacaron a Irán unilateralmente, Estados Unidos e Israel, que se debe estar contra una guerra iniciada sin autorización del Congreso de Estados Unidos, del Consejo de Seguridad de Naciones Unidas y, como he dicho antes, que vulnera el derecho internacional.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. And he's saying what any person with two eyes and perhaps one ear can notice, right? He's just stating two facts. It was a unilateral attack on Iran, right, without any prior aggression from Iran, right? The only legitimacy that the US has is that, oh, it's a theocracy and it's a dictatorship, so I guess we have to bomb it. Without a unilateral attack and without prior notice to the Congress. Now, Marco Rubio says that there has been a notice, but it does not have an approval. One thing is to send a notice to Congress. The other thing is if Congress approves of the attack, which it did not, or at least there was no voting, so there was no way of knowing. Now, further, he's also talked about not allowing the US to use its military bases for this attack, right? Something that Trump later talks about, how we're going to cut off we're going to cut off Spain, we're going to embargo, sanctions, all of that, simply because they refuse to participate in this. This is all in Spanish, I'm sorry. I have a Spanish algorithm, so if I look up Pedro Sanchez, it's going to be in Spanish. Let's look at TRT World, because they probably have it up. Yeah, we also have this. Is this new? Pressure on Israel to stop... Oh, this is Gaza, right? Sanchez has been quite consistently good on Gaza, at least from a rhetorical point of view. Was the attack? Ayatollah. Okay, well, we have this short, right, which we just watched. We also have Macron, right? President or Prime Minister? I get confused. Macron, I think, is a president, no? Woo! I'm so good. President of France, right? Emmanuel Macron. I think in his second term. By now, he's a dickhead. You know, he's not good. But at least he had some moderate stance on Gaza. Of course, he's a big defender of Ukraine, right? So when you pressure him a little bit on an illegal invasion, he's going to at least be a little bit respectful. Understand that you cannot just do something like that. But today, I saw this in the morning, he ordered an increase of nuclear weapons manufactured in France, right? Increasing the relatively small nuclear arsenal of France, which it possesses nuclear weapons. Very little countries, right? I mean, relatively speaking, it's literally the US, Russia, UK, and France, right? UK has about 210 in comparison to 1,030 of the United States, right? 1/5 of the US. Then, of course, Israel has a few. Gotta love a little bit of unconfirmed right here. North Korea has a few, right? Pakistan, India, that's their whole little business. China has quite a number, but nowhere near just like Europe here, right? Russia technically is part of Europe. US is not Europe, but NATO, right? And then you have France and the UK with 45 and 210, right? France has relatively a lot. It's in third place. So Macron is now officially declaring an increase of nuclear, building the nuclear arsenal. And he's also officially saying that they will not declare how many nuclear weapons France has. That is a little scary. Not because I'm scared of a France invasion, but simply the implications of this, right? I mean, we are slowly moving to a very insecure global order, one where you cannot even trust your allies, right? This is not necessarily, he's not doing this because of Russia. If it was like that, he would have done this 4 years ago. He does, however, recognize that threats can be from all sides. I mean, with how easily Trump talks about Europe being a threat sometimes, Spain or whichever country slightly goes against him, it's understandable. I'm not saying that I support this idea. I don't believe that nuclear weapons should be a thing, but here we are.
J'ai ordonné d'augmenter le nombre de têtes nucléaires de notre arsenal. Pour couper court à toute spéculation, nous ne communiquerons plus sur les chiffres de notre arsenal nucléaire, contrairement.
Sorry, I forgot to change this, and you've just been hearing French for the last minute.
J'ai ordonné d'augmenter le nombre de têtes nucléaires de notre arsenal. Pour couper court à toute spéculation, nous ne communiquerons plus sur les chiffres de notre arsenal nucléaire, contrairement à ce qui avait pu être le cas par le passé.
It's a big deal. I mean, I don't know the last time that France has not been part of an open disclosure of its nuclear arsenal. I mean, France only got its nuclear weapons during the Cold War. I believe it must have been sometime in the 1960s-ish. First test, 1960. Woof, I'm good. Meaning that they already were part of international institutions that obliged them to declare their nuclear arsenal. So this has never been the case. It's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal that France is not declaring its nuclear arsenal. It might be an implication of further tensions are rising on the global scale. You see the resemblance? Yeah, that's German. Yeah, sorry. All right. So we got Macron, we got Sanchez, right? Those are the responses. We also have Keir Starmer. I cannot fucking look at Keir Starmer. This is still going on?
Look, we're really decimating.
Oh my god, I would have fucking... My ADHD could not... There's a reason I'm probably not gonna be a politician ever. I could not take this.
A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know,
Merz does not agree, by the way. He does not agree. Merz is like a staunch supporter of Ukraine. He thinks that we should give more.
away ammunition everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high-end, but we have plenty.
It's been going on hours, man.
Unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high-end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition or munitions, as they say. We've given away to, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it should have been done.
Oh, I'm tired.
Look,
Jesus Christ, I am falling asleep here. This is insane. 6 hours. I don't know how long these press conferences last. I mean, I'm sure they said some very important shit in there. But like, my god, this is all over the place.
They're still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. They built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of them.
And the worst thing is that I can't fucking trust anything that this guy says. I mean, yeah, if we are looking at legitimacy and shit, sure. Take it from the mouth of the beast. But I cannot take anything this guy, or even fucking this guy at this point. Like, seriously. It's, Jesus, just... To conclude, this is kind of where we are at. We are at around 800 dead. The death toll in Iran is about 787. 11 in Israel and 6 U.S. soldiers. Right? As reported by Al Jazeera 9 minutes ago. I mean, we can see the disproportionate death toll, but this is still a very evolving situation. We will see where this goes. So far, it's a game of tennis, They kind of keep throwing bombs at the other. The biggest development maybe we have seen in the last day or so is that Israel has officially put boots on the ground in Lebanon, right? That is because of its legitimacy of its excuse of going against Hezbollah in Lebanon. They put boots on the ground, and part of Lebanon right now is annexed by Israel. However, I can't find this. No, I think I'm incorrect. It's not Lebanon. Is it Lebanon or is it Jordan? I might actually have just made a mistake. Israel annexed... Sorry, I'm not speaking right now. because I am trying to look something up, but it's taking me a while. Let's just watch this
On to
while
these
I
events
do
is
it.
quite simple. Your brain is in fear mode. It thinks you're running away from a predator. That's why you might feel palpitations, shortness
The
of breath.
fuck is this guy talking about? Let's go a little bit down so I can see this.
Tongass National Forest in Alaska. Getting you behind.
I cannot take American news seriously. Why the fuck are you putting this guy?
Public, President Clinton
Oh, he also had the Epstein files. Jesus.
acknowledging being friendly with Epstein in the early 2000s, but denied seeing anything that indicated that Epstein was a sex trafficker. Meantime, a former Secretary
Maybe the kids all over the place would be an indicator.
of
Jesus
State Hillary
Christ.
Clinton told lawmakers that she never interacted with Epstein in a heated testimony, at which one point she threatened to leave over a leaked photo of her deposition. And a small plane making an emergency landing on New York's icy Hudson River. The two that were on board, they were okay. The Orange County executive says a single-engine plane lost power before crashing on the ice. The fire department says the pilot and passenger swam safely to shore. Now, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul is calling the incident another miracle on the Hudson. Yeah, the first primary elections of the 2026 midterms have begun with...
Alright. I can't take American news seriously. Israel launches and strikes on Beirut. This was today. No, yesterday.
We are in Beirut's southern suburbs at the site of one of those Israeli airstrikes. At 6 a.m. this morning, 3 buildings were leveled to the ground behind me. We cannot approach the area because we are being prevented from doing so. But as you can see, firefighters are here to try to put off the flames. The thick smoke in the distance. I saw 3 buildings leveled to the ground, and these strikes keep coming in. Started yesterday following Hezbollah's launching of a salvo of missiles and drones towards Israel, basically opening a front. And since then, the Israeli military has been doing what it promised to do, and that is to intensify strikes. The Israeli defense minister is saying that the military has been authorized to take control of positions inside Lebanon. The Israeli military already controls positions inside Lebanon along the border. They control up to 10 square kilometers of territory. They've set up hilltop bases, but in reality they control much more because that whole area has become a buffer zone. People have not been able to return to rebuild their homes. People often come under fire. Bulldozers are hit. And now, with this statement, this is raising a lot of concern that Israel is going to push further deeper inside the country. Already, tens of thousands of people have not been able to return to their homes along the border in the past 2 years.
Yeah, so what happened yesterday is that Israel has been striking Lebanon for a while, right? I mean, it's been kind of doing that even throughout the genocide in Gaza. But now they intensified because I guess they feel confident in doing so. Maybe start a war with Iran, but also go into Lebanon a little bit. I guess that makes sense. Of course, their legitimacy for it is Hezbollah. Terrorist organization, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, classic, gotta get rid of them, kind of situation. Now, Hezbollah does not control Iran, it's not the same thing, Lebanon, it's not the same kind of situation where if you're against Ayatollah, well then, the Ayatollah or the leaders of Iran, this is a different kind of situation. It's simply an organization that exists within Lebanon. Right, but despite this, Israel has invaded, and it has taken a chunk of Lebanon. Has said its troops are operating in southern Lebanon in a new ground incursion as it continues strikes in what it describes in a statement as forward defense. stop with these fucking names, man. It's a preemptive attack. You know, the forward defense. Just say you're attacking. Just be honest, man. I hate this fucking back and forth. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, this is where we are right now. This is where we are. I don't know what else is new. I think we're done with Iran a little bit. Israel, the Middle East in general. I don't think there's nothing else, man. All news kind of gets sidelined. All news kind of gets sidelined with this, you know? Which is unfortunate. But, there's a lot of things that we should still talk about, such as the Epstein files. Epstein files, you know, there was a testimony from the Clintons. Sorry, it's still quite loud. There was a testimony from the Clintons, you know, both kind of affiliates of Jeffrey Epstein, probably not as close as Donald Trump, but still raises questions, right? Especially Bill Clinton. We have photos of him and Epstein. We also have photos of him with Trump. There was the whole Boba situation a few months ago, where there might have been some, you know, some homosexual tendencies. We don't know. We don't know anything. We just know that these people are demons, rather, no matter what party they belong to. Many of them have been implicated with just Epstein, and Epstein is not the only fucking demon out there, right? You kill Epstein, you still have so many others. It's a deeper structural issue. We're probably gonna talk about this this Thursday. I want to deep dive deeper into the Epstein files because it is a major news. Something that we should talk about, something we should not definitely forget. We are not only being run by demons, but they are walking away free, even if they get discovered. I mean, Trump is just the clearest example of this, being the president of the United States. But let's not forget that he's not the only one. Many European leaders have been involved. Prince Andrew, he got arrested 2 weeks ago for his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, there is some accountability, though Prince Andrew was not arrested for necessarily, you know, pedophilia. He was just arrested for, what was it, embezzlement of state funds, or I think it was like something with declassified information. I mean, we can look it up real quickly. I haven't been following Prince Andrew in a while. I mean, I remember when just Prince Andrew was the biggest news just a few weeks ago, and now we're in war. People magazine. Ex-Prince Andrew's arrest and mounting fallout for Sarah Ferguson, Beatrice and Eugene. Suspicion of misconduct in public office, right? We're going to go deeper into it in a few days because today is late and we've spent all this time on Iran. There's also news on Cuba. I mean, ever since the Iran strike, the sanctions are still in place. Cuba is still being suffocated. Muchos cubanos se preguntan si Trump plantea atacar. Talk about it with Cuba, and I think that we're gonna talk about it in the next few days. Hopefully, the Iran situation does not develop that much or as much, you know. Hopefully, this just kind of goes away, but we don't know. In today's world, anything is possible. This war could go on forever. We'll see where this goes. So far, in the last 3 days, 800 people have been killed in Iran, 11 people have been killed in Israel, or Israelis, and 6 American soldiers have been killed. Also, the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei has been assassinated, killed in the initial strike. We will see who is gonna be the successor. This is where we ended off. It's very late. I'm very tired. We've spent this time talking about Iran. These are the thoughts. These are the news. Is the US withholding? No, it's not. It's not simply because of his ego. It got stuck in this mess, and this is going to affect geopolitics a lot, especially in the Middle East. I mean, especially diplomatic relations are going to be screwed. With that said, this is all that we talked about today. I'll see you on Thursday, most likely, where we're going to continue talking about Iran, but we're also going to expand it probably towards the Epstein files, probably Cuba, and whatever else develops. I will see you very soon.
Wir lesen Kosmospost, Kosmospost. Wir trinken Kosmosmost, Kosmosmost. Und wir sind bis oben hin so voll. Ich bin ein Musikant. Ich spiele so brillant. Am besten in Kosmosland, Und wir sind fröhlich und völlig gesättigt. Kosmospost ist so gut. Kosmospost schmeckt so gut, wenn man Hunger hat. Wir sind alle Kosmosvolk. Wir spielen Kosmosgolf. Und ich bin Kosmosrolf. Wir trinken Kaffee, Tee und Limonade. Wir essen Kosmoskost. Wir lesen Kosmospost. Wir trinken Kosmosmost.